What is up, guys? Today we'll be talking about some of my favorite flagship smartphones for around the $600 to $500 price point. I'll have all the cheapest links down below. So let's get started with the Galaxy S20 FE. This is probably my favorite phone on the list. It's super solid and I think packs a lot of specs for this price point. So you have a aluminum frame and a plastic back. Now I know what you're saying, it is a plastic back, but it still feels very premium. It's a matte finish, so it doesn't pick up a lot of fingerprints either, but I like the design of the phone. I think it looks pretty solid, and also it does not feel cheap at all. And I guess the benefit with the plastic back is that, you know, it won't crack as easy, which is good for resale value. Now you do have IP68 dust and water resistant design on here, a super AMOLED display at 120 Hz, so the screen is going to be super silky smooth, scrolling and everything. It's a 6.5 inch display, HDR10 plus, 1080p 407 for the PPI. Overall, just a beautiful display, fairly bright, pretty slim bezels, the punch hole is pretty small, and I just like the display on here. Deep blacks, vibrant colors. It's a really nice display. So you do get Android 11 with One UI 3.1 on this phone, which is going to be awesome. Depending on which model you get, you'll have the Exynos or Snapdragon model. Now, I preferred the Snapdragon model, but the version I had was the Exynos model, and that was 100% capable of doing everything. So it was extremely smooth, and it was able to play games. I have a ton of videos on it if you guys want to see that in more detail, but performance-wise on the Exynos model is going to be great as well. So you have micro SD support, 128 gigs of internal storage, and 6 gigs of RAM on here as well. You also have stereo speakers, which sound excellent, very loud, very good bass presence with that. No headphone jack on this guy, unfortunately, but you do have NFC and a very fast under the display fingerprint sensor. This phone also has very good cameras. So it has a 12 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide 4K video, a 32 megapixel selfie that also shoots in 4K. The cameras are excellent. You can see from the stills here, beautiful photos. You get really the same kind of photos from the standard S20, but excellent color, detail, dynamic range. It is a really nice camera. The selfie camera is also really great on here too. Video is pretty good. It is a top-notch camera, so you're getting a really good camera with this phone as well. So you do have on here fairly good battery life as well. It's definitely an all-day phone at 4,500 milliamps with 25-watt fast charging. You also get reverse wireless charging still on this phone, so if you want to charge another device, that is also there for that. And yeah, so battery life is all day, and this phone is just super solid. Next is the ONEPLUS 7 Pro, or you can get the 7T Pro. The only difference with that one is that you have 5G and you have the 855 Plus chip, but if you're not in the 5G area, don't bother getting the 7T Pro. The 7 Pro just save a little bit of money because they're basically the same phone. Now, the 7 Pro is still my daily driver. It's the phone that I usually have all the time on me, and it's still an excellent phone. I'm going to tell you guys why, but this has a complete premium design. It's a glass and metal phone, very thin, very super solid feeling in the hand. It's a beautiful looking phone to me. You also have a 90 Hz fluid AMOLED display. It's HDR10 plus, no punch hole, no notch, no nothing. It's full screen with the pop-up camera at 6.7 inches. It's a 1440p display, 516 for the PPI. I think this phone has the best display on this list, period. So if you're somebody that really values the display quality and not having a punch hole or anything like that, this phone is the phone for you. It does have a curved display, which is annoying for some people, but honestly, if you use a case, you won't get any accidental touches or anything like that. So I've never had that issue, because I use a case on mine. But you will get the latest version of Android with this phone, Android 11. So I'm just waiting for that to come out. I'll make a video for you guys. And Oxygen OS is super smooth skin on here. It's pretty customizable as well, and it's very clean. That's the main thing. But you have the Snapdragon 855 Adreno 640 on here, and gaming performance is solid on here. You can play any game at high settings, so Call of Duty, Fortnite, whatever. Actually, all of these phones will be able to blow through any game on the Play Store or App Store. So just a very fast phone. Now, the only thing about this phone, there's no SD card support, which sucks, but you do get 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM. So this phone also does not have a headphone jack, which also sucks too. I think that's the main thing I don't like about this phone. You also have some very nice sounding stereo speakers on here as well, which sound excellent. And this phone also has pretty decent cameras. To me, you have a triple camera setup, 48 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel telephoto, 16 megapixel ultra wide 4K video. The pop-up camera 16 megapixel. Isn't going to be the best camera on this list, no, but it's a very good camera and it's very capable of taking excellent shots. And you can also switch to the Gcam application if you want to, want a different looking image processing. But I like the cameras on here. They're not bad by any means. You also have a very fast under the display fingerprint sensor along with face unlock, which is really cool on here. And you also have a pretty good 4,000 milliamp battery with 30-watt fast charging. The phone lasts me all day, no problem. It's an excellent phone for battery life for sure. And honestly, it charges really fast, so that kind of makes up for it not having wireless charging as well. So the 7 Pro, a beast of a phone still in 2021. So if you're an Apple fan, then the iPhone 11 is definitely an excellent phone right now. It's actually under $600 right now. I think it's sitting around $580. This is an awesome phone still. You have a very nice design on here. I really like the body of the iPhone 11, just the feel of it. It's a glass and aluminum design on here. Also IP68 dust and water resistant, and it feels really nice. It's kind of a more compact phone these days at 6.1 inches. Now the iPhone does have an IPS display, which was my only gripe with this phone, and it also has a 1792 by 828 display, so it's not quite 1080p, more like 720p plus, I guess. The display is fine though. It looks good. Most people won't notice anything wrong with it, honestly. But the display is fine. The only thing is that it's not a super AMOLED display or anything like that. It's not OLED, but it's fairly bright as well. So again, I think most people are be fine with it. You do have a notch up top, which honestly most people that like iPhones don't really care. Now you do have the latest version of iOS, of course, out of the box, and this phone will get updates for years and years to come. So if you buy one, you don't have to worry about software updates. The Apple A13 chip is a beast in this phone. It's extremely fast. It flies through everything. The phone rarely hicks up or anything like that. It's a very fast phone for gaming or whatever you want to do. You will be able to play games and everything, no problem on this phone. Of course, no micro SD support. 64 gigs of internal storage is a little low for me, but you can use Apple's cloud service for that. You do have 4 gigs of RAM as well. And this phone has some really nice sounding stereo speakers, very nice bass presence on here, and they sound really excellent with some of my favorite speakers. You do have NFC, of course, with the Apple Pay. Face ID on here is very fast as well. And this phone really has one of the best cameras still, and also some of the best video you can get in a smartphone. So you have a 12 megapixel standard and a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 4K video, 12 megapixel selfie, 4K video. So if you're getting this phone, you're really gonna love the cameras on here. I was really pleased with detail, depth of field. Also the selfie camera was excellent, and video on the iPhone is still top notch in my opinion. So just a really good solid cameras, as you can see from these stills here. So that's what you're definitely gonna enjoy about the iPhone. And you also have a pretty okay battery life. I'm not gonna say great. It's a 3,110 milliamp battery, 18-watt fast charging, wireless charging. And battery life, you can definitely get 6 hours of screen on time, so it is a full day's use. But if you're really trying to game hard on this phone, you would probably have to charge it before the end of the day. But overall, the iPhone 11 is still an excellent buy. Now the Galaxy S20 Plus is an awesome phone. Right now I think it's sitting at around $600, and this is an awesome phone. So it still has the full premium design. You have an aluminum frame glass back on here, a super solid design, IP68 dust and water resistant. You also have a 120 Hz dynamic AMOLED display at 6.7 inches. This phone actually has a 1440p display, so 2K display on here. Display is absolutely beautiful on here. It's a really nice display. Now this phone is going to have the latest version of Android and One UI. the Snapdragon 865 processor and Adreno 650. So again, extremely powerful when it comes to gaming and multitasking performance and stuff like that. You will not be let down. It actually has the micro SD support, which is awesome, and you have 128 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. So honestly, if you want the the best value for your money, if you were considering the FE, I would probably get the S20 Plus. In my opinion, I prefer this phone honestly, but you do get on here the stereo speakers, which are very loud, very crisp and clear. I really enjoy that on here as well, and you essentially get the same camera system on here. It's actually a quad camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel standard, 64 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide on here. And you have a 0.3 depth sensor on here, 8K video, a 10 megapixel selfie, 4K. It's essentially the same cameras as the FE. From what I saw, it took virtually the same pictures. So you're getting excellent flagship quality, photos here, and also excellent video. And you also get the fingerprint scanner under the display, which is very fast. Had no issues with it. This phone comes with all of the Samsung DeX support and all that stuff as well, as you would expect. Now you do have on here a pretty decent sized battery on here, a 4,500 milliamp battery, 25 watt fast charging, wireless charging, reverse wireless charging on here, and you definitely get all day battery life. Battery life is really good on this phone, so there is no issues with that. So this phone comes pretty much with everything you would want. NFC is on board, just big battery, great cameras, great design, beautiful display. So I really like this phone. Last on the list is the Samsung Galaxy S10e. So this is an excellent phone for somebody that wants a more compact phone, but it's also still very powerful. Brand new, you can pick up this phone for around $500. So you have a premium design. It's a glass and metal designs, IP68 dust and water resistant. You have a beautiful display on here, dynamic AMOLED, HDR10, 5.8 inches, 1080p, 438 for the PPI. You also have the little punch hole on the right hand side, and the phone is excellent as far as display wise. Deep blacks, vibrant colors, fairly bright as well. You will get the latest version of Android on here with One UI. The Snapdragon 855 Adreno 640 on here is perfectly capable of playing any game on high settings. Performance is really snappy on the S10e as well. You also get micro SD support and 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM on this guy. And you also get the headphone jack still, so one of the rare phones on this list with a headphone jack. And you also get stereo speakers as well, which are very loud, sound really good. So you get NFC on here, and the fingerprint scanner is side mounted, so it's on the power button, which I absolutely love. It just makes for an overall faster experience in my opinion. And you do have excellent cameras on here. Now it's not going to be as good as, in my opinion, the other ones on this list, but I think they're still pretty darn good. As you can see from the photos, a 12 megapixel standard, 16 megapixel ultra wide, 4K video, 10 megapixel selfie that also shoots in 4K. You can see you get some really nice detail, very vibrant, colorful photos on here, depth of field. Everything is really solid on this phone. So I had really no issues with the camera quality with this guy. And you also get, I guess, okay battery life. It's not going to be amazing. It's a 3,100 milliamp battery, so it's kind of small. And you also get wireless charging with the reverse wireless charging. So I was getting around 6 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. So if you're like a light user, maybe you can squeeze 7 out of this phone, but definitely you can get all day battery life at least with this phone. So that is my list. What do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.